Hi everyone, and welcome back to the series on kind of common issues that runners have, and this is probably one of the most common issues. If you've run before, you've had this issue, even if you're just like playing soccer or basketball or another sport or something like that. Even sprinters are going to have this issue from time to time. We're talking about side stitches here, where you're going out and you're running and all of a sudden it feels like somebody has just jabbed you in the side with something sharp like an ice pick or something like that. So we're going to talk here about what the symptoms are, the causes, how you can prevent it when you're running, and if you do have it happen in the middle of a workout or a meet or something like that, how you can make it go away, because it is very preventable, but it's also very treatable in that you can make it go away even if it's already started in the middle of a workout or something like that. So the symptoms are just that. You're going out and everything feels fine, and all of a sudden in and around your rib cage, you're going to feel it's typically in this lower part of your rib cage, but it can come all the way up kind of into the sides, up and around here as your ribs kind of creep up on you, but typically on that bottom part, and I'll show you why that is from the actual reason that happens. But that is the symptom. It's just a very sharp cutting type pain in that area, the bottom part or up into the middle of your ribs as they kind of circle up into where your other organs are here. So it is very, very painful, but what it actually is, it's not any type of injury. What it actually is this muscle that controls your breathing, called your diaphragm, is actually cramping and causing all kinds of problems in and around here, and it's cramping almost always because of improper breathing, okay? So it's not that like your lungs are collapsing or something like that. It is simply this muscle right here is cramping up and it's causing all sorts of traumas. And as you can see, and this diagram doesn't exactly do it all the justice, but it kind of creeps all the way up in here. And that's why you can sometimes feel that sharp pain all the way up here as your rib cage kind of circles up in on itself. But much more common down in the bottom here, because that's right where the diaphragm is. The diaphragm controls your breathing, your in and your out of your breathing itself, your lungs increasing in size and then constricting. So this is, if you've ever had what's called the wind knocked out of you, this is what kind of gets hit and kind of cramps up also. So this is all dealing with breathing. So obviously as you're running, you're going to have an increase of breathing, and just like any other muscle, the diaphragm can cramp and spasm up just like anything else, and that's typically what is happening here. So what actually causes this typically to happen most times is your, and by the way, I forgot to say this before, I am not a medical doctor. I am a cross-country and track coach in high school, so please realize that I'm not trying to treat or diagnose any types of injuries or anything like that, but this is really just to try and give anybody an idea of, if you're dealing with something in a common area, I've seen a lot of these things and how you can kind of treat it. So should have put that at the beginning, but no big deal. But the idea here is it's caused typically from bad breathing, right? You can go out and you can be running and you can have a calf cramp up on you, you can have a hamstring cramp up on you, or a quadricep or something like that. This can cramp up on you also. So if you're going out and you're running and you're doing your thing, just like any other muscle, if you do something that's kind of putting undue strain on this, one of the things that can happen is cramping. So that's what actually can happen here, is this diaphragm cramping. And what would cause the diaphragm to cramp? Well, the diaphragm controls breathing. So basically it is causing undue stress on this, basically from improper breathing. This is when, if you go out and if you had a coach before or anything that said breathe through your nose, not your mouth, this is one of the main reasons for that. Now, true, you could get a little bit more air by breathing through your mouth at some points, but this is really kind of the idea of, you are designed to breathe through your nose. It's going to cause all different things, and your body to properly heat and moisten the air before it actually gets into your lungs and causes everything to kind of happen a lot more smoothly. Breathing through your nose is one of the things that is good for this, and breathing through your mouth, which a lot of people do, especially more novice runners, and that's what can cause this to happen. Just improper breathing, bad breathing, all of that. It can sometimes with certain people be caused a little bit more if it's cold out, or if it's really dry out. That's typically going to be more of an issue with like bronchial tubes and things like that, but it can also put a little more undue stress on the diaphragm. But typically it's more to do with just improper breathing through your mouth. or also just short, bad breaths, not getting enough oxygen in there that's just causing more stress on this whole system of providing oxygen to your working muscles. So the reason why you never have this happen as you're just walking around is you're not stressing this system. One of the interesting things is we talk about training adaptation a lot of times with kids and runners and things like that. You're trying to train your heart, you're trying to train your body's ability to move oxygen throughout, but one of the things you never really hear is increasing lung capacity, because your lungs are really kind of overdeveloped to begin with. They're really way more pronounced, and this is very rare with anything in terms of biological structures. They're way more overdeveloped than you would ever need. So you never really have this issue just kind of walking around. And on most times, you don't really have an issue with this either. It's just really if you're doing some bad things to kind of put it behind the 8 ball, if you want to put it that way. So your diaphragm's cramping, you're causing issues in terms of bad breathing. And this can really happen on any type of run. It's common in any type of runner. I've been running for well more than half my life, and I can still get this happening. It can happen on a really fast run. It can happen in a race. It can happen during an anaerobic sprinting type workout. It can happen on a super easy, low intensity, long and recovery run. It can really happen on any type of running, because really the issue is you're already putting your body in a little bit more of a stressful situation by doing something physical, and if you're breathing incorrectly, it can set this off at any time, any place. So any runner susceptible to this, and really importantly, any type of run. I would say personally, I probably get this more commonly when I'm just going out for an easy, low-intensity aerobic threshold, or you call it easy recovery or long type runs. Nothing that's really high intensity. Not a tempo run typically, not a VO2 max interval, not a race or something like that, because usually on those faster days, I'm a little more conscious of my breathing. On those easy days, and I might be running with somebody and talking, and I'm not really paying attention to what I should be doing as much, so I can actually have this, and it's much more common to creep up on me on those low-intensity days where I'm really not paying as close attention to the little details as I probably should be, and probably I would say that's the case with a lot of people. You're much more conscious of everything when you're doing something high intensity, but it can certainly happen anywhere. So to prevent this, the most important thing is breathing through your nose and getting good deep breaths so you're not putting any undue stress on this system and your diaphragm. So if you're doing an easy run, 2 in, 1 out, I try and tell my crew, my kids to sync it up with their steps. So if you're taking, right, left, 2 in, 2 steps in, 2 breaths in, 2 steps after that, 2 breaths out. You don't need to breathe much more than that on a low-intensity, easy, or recovery run or a long run. If you're doing something a little more up-tempo, it's typically 2 in, 1 out. You're able to get rid of more of the waste products on the exhale than you are on the inhale, just sort of by the nature of the way the system is. But really just think about good breathing. Am I breathing in through my nose? Am I getting enough air? So sometimes you'll hear people when they're running go like, just really deep breaths, and they're just 1 in, 1 out really quickly like that, and you're not getting a lot of oxygen actually getting into your lungs and the bronchial tubes and everything to actually get it away from the working muscle. You really want to take more deeper breaths, as deep as you can, and still be able to get rid of the waste products and that kind of thing. So preventing it, good breathing. If you're somebody that has a lot of problems with, just think in through your nose. You can breathe out through your mouth, that's not a problem, but the in through your nose is really the key here. And this is something that really can get better with practice. You want to get to a point with anything, with any types of running. If you're a heel striker, you don't want to be a heel striker, you want to get to be a midfoot striker. If you're breathing in through your mouth, being able to breathe in through your nose. If you're somebody that carries your arms too high, getting your arms down and nice and relaxed. You have to kind of practice it early, but you also want to try and get into a point where it's sort of mindless, where you're not thinking about it all the time. Because if you're thinking about it, you're not going to do it when it really matters the most, when you're not thinking just about your breathing. So practice it early, but try to get to that point where it's almost automated. And if you have a friend that sometimes runs with you, a buddy, or maybe someone that bikes with you or whatever, have them think about it and listen to it for you. Are you breathing through your nose, or are you breathing through your mouth? Because that feedback from somebody else can also help you with this. Now, let's say you're going out and you're in the middle of a 75-minute run, something 10 miles or something like that, and you're halfway out and all of a sudden, oh crap, I've been not paying attention to my breathing. It feels like somebody just jabbed an ice pick into my side, which can easily happen. What do? Do I just walk back the whole way? Well, no, because this is something that, again, it's not an injury. It's just kind of a condition that can happen with running. You can make this go away with the same way that you can make it not happen to begin with, proper breathing. So you're out there, and all of a sudden you just feel it on one of your sides. That body's like, oh man, just so sharp pain. It's hard to breathe. Start breathing through your nose. Slow your intensity down, so you can have your lungs catch up a little bit and your diaphragm just relax. But this isn't like a cramp in terms of like if your calf cramps or your hamstring cramps and you go down and you're not going to be able to do anything. Breathing is something that can never stop. So your body and your diaphragm are really well worked and well developed, and it'll kind of come out of it. It can come out of it fairly quickly, but it's not going to lock up and just prevent you from this happening, from this kind of thing. Obviously, there are things that can happen from if you're allergic to something, but that's more to deal with other parts of your actual your breathing and that whole system. But if you're going through and it's not, you know, horribly bad, if you start proper breathing, once it has set in, it can loosen up and for the most part go away by the end of the run. Now, there's usually a little bit of a linger with it. If I've gone out and I'm out in the middle of a 75-minute run, 90-minute run, something really long, and halfway through this happens, it'll go away probably in a half mile or something like that from good breathing, good in through your nose, good deep breaths, so that all kind of relaxes. I usually feel just a little bit for the rest of that run, but for the most part, say 90% of the pain goes away and you can get through it and accomplish what you need to. Same thing in the middle of a race or some other type of hard workout. It starts to grab you, start to breathe through your nose, good deep breathing, and it will actually relax itself most of the time in the middle. So it's something that can feel really debilitating and be a potential, you know, something that stops your workout, really hurts a race or something like that. But you can certainly control it. You can easily prevent it by just doing that practice and the good breathing, and it all just comes down to good breathing in through your nose the way that your body was designed to, and allow that diaphragm to work and help open and close your lungs as it was intended, so we don't have any nasty cramping of this muscle here. So if you like this video, please think about liking or subscribing. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment down below. If you found this helpful, please think about sharing it around. And until next time, this has been Coachy TV.